Hello, everybody. We are back for our weekly leadership lunch chat with Jen Wilson and myself, Amy Vetter. So, Jen, welcome to Friday lunch chat.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we have a lot we want to discuss today. Things have been definitely coming up as we're talking to firms and seeing the changes that are being made, but also how their thoughts are around future planning. And we've got our thoughts as well. So you want to get started with some of your observations and I'll chime in here.
Yes. So I think I'm going to start with the thing that's bothering me right now.
Okay. Let's just get it off your chest right now.
So more than one thing that's bothering me, but the big thing from today, today's irritation. So
yeah.
I saw an article that talked about, changes in the profession because of the crisis, and kind of an experienced consultant to the profession expressed that they thought that we were going to see a 180-degree turn away from away from advisory to compliance, and sort of like the rise of compliance. And boy, it's going to be back more than ever before. And I'm not sure about advisory and consulting and whether you should be focusing there. And that made me a little crazy. I have to confess it. It bothered the heck out of me. And the reason it bugs me is I don't doubt in an economic downturn, it is common for compliance services to be steady and consistent. And it's also common for small clients to carry more weight in a firm than large clients.
Yeah.
Large clients will contract quicker and work from them dries up. So that's not uncommon. I don't disagree with those ideas. But I think that it's insane for firms to think, oh boy, we shouldn't be investing in advisory or consulting during this downturn. First of all, clients need help.
Yeah.
PPP and SBA.
More than any time, I think right now, there's been so much concern about, jobs are going to be automated and so forth. And I think if any time accountants and CPAs and financial professionals, the human side, the expertise has never been more valued than now. I mean, it's proving of why it's so important.
Yeah, I mean, SBA, PPP, CARES Act as just examples of advisory and consulting that was like emergency required. Clients need help pivoting, figuring out new business models because the old ones don't work. The old paradigms aren't valid. There's so much that clients need on the advisory side right now that firms, while compliance could take over because we have this deadline looming and we could over focus almost on compliance and forget to help our clients with the stuff that's really going to make or break them.
Right.
And so that bothered me. But also there's another thing, kind of, if you think a little longer range, like 6 months or so, like people thinking maybe there isn't so much emergency help our clients need, right? Things are settling down into some kind of new normal. Well, I don't want firms to forget that there are still people out there with designs on the compliance service that are automating it.
Yeah.
We plan to automate it and dramatically reduce how much of it we're doing. And that's coming. That disruption we've been predicting is coming, COVID-19 or not. It's going to come. So firms have to double down on advisory, in my opinion, not think that they back away from it.
Well, and I think it's time management as well, right? Because there has been extensions put in place. There has been ways for the compliance side of the business to be balanced with the human sides of our subject matter expertise that small businesses so badly need right now.
Yeah.
And it's easy to kind of go to what's easy. Not that it's easy to do compliance work, but that's, where the comfort level is. And it's really important to start stepping back from the work and saying what could actually be extended, because right now someone needs a conversation, someone needs advice. And this is the time for forward planning, because whatever business plans any business had looks different, whether this benefited you or hurt you.
Right.
What everybody needs right now is to sit down with somebody and just independently talk about what I need to kind of rejigger all of the things I thought my business was going to look like this year, and how do I survive?
Right. Well, and the thing is that, I'm looking at it a little bit like Stephen Covey's quadrant 2 versus quadrant 1. I could just spend all my time in deadline land and not allocate the resources to work on this very strategic, very important thing our clients need. And then I'm getting sort of affirmation that maybe advisory is not going to be as big as we thought it was. I just don't want people to listen to that. I'm worried about that. So that's one thing that I woke up today sort of bugged by.
Yeah, I get it. I think another big issue that has come up this week that I've heard, I know, and I'm a business owner, you're a business owner, the struggles financially right now of, trying to keep your business open, keeping it viable. The financials have changed, whatever you planned for cash. And you're also trying to, make sure that the people that work for you can still work for you. There's some really harsh decisions happening right now. And I think what's weighing on me is some of the things I'm hearing. Is it measured decisions based on, is this an opportunity to eliminate people? Is there really a financial problem? Or is this an opportunity to really show that you care, that you're trying to make things work, that you look at other places in the business to chop costs, but you're making sure that people's livelihoods are intact? And, not only, is there a lot of cost cutting with people, which, you got to think about long-term effects of cutting people, because the fact is you're going to need them at some point. And so getting that knowledge base back is really, really hard, and that loyalty. But then secondly, when you start cutting salaries, and if this was just something that you're using as an excuse to cut salaries right now when people have no other choices, the problem is long term, that doesn't mean they're going to come to work happy. Yes, they may be happy to have a job, but they're kind of over a barrel. And secondly, when you get out of this situation, what happens now? Like, Are they going to be happy employees? Are they going to feel like you were loyal to them during these times and cared about them and their families? So there's a lot of impacts to these decisions that might seem like an opportunity, but it's really stepping back from the business and looking at all places that you can cut expenses and really look at the financial viability of the business before you start ruining employee relationships or how people feel.
Yeah. Well, and I none of us envies the big firms and the tough decisions that they're faced with. Their monthly cash nut is significant, and pushing the personal filing deadline created a cash trough. Audits being placed on hold because clients weren't paperless or weren't remote ready or were in crisis themselves and couldn't focus on the audit. There's some real cash challenges that the big firms face. And so I understand them having to make these tough decisions. I do. And I always try to counsel my leadership teams to think about the entity, as this group of stakeholders, clients, talent, shareholders, and the community that depends on that firm. And you've got to keep the entity healthy first and foremost. So I do think firms have to be careful with these decisions, super careful. And the first thing is, if we're going to cut costs at all, the first place we take the hit is partners take the hit. I always say big dogs eat the dog food first. So the partners have to take that draw hit. I know some firms that didn't take a draw in April. The partners didn't take cash out of the business, but some are just doing kind of a steady reduction percentage per month. And it's okay to let your team know that you've done that.
Right.
And then of course,
I think that needs to be emphasized right there, is being very transparent that you're doing it as well. If you're going to take the hits other places, else there can be a perception that it's just going one direction.
Yeah. Well, and this is a little bit of maybe the difference between thinking and feeling and that personality thing, but I do come at this a little bit like, if we have to cut costs, most firms have been conflict avoidant and have allowed poor performers to persist. They have some problems in the business they haven't solved because they've been too nice. And if we have to cut any staff costs, we have to go there first.
Right.
It's really difficult to take high performers and cut their pay.
Yes.
I think it's appropriate to cut bonuses right now. If the firm's not going to make money, partners are taking a hit on draws, we say, we don't think we're going to pay bonuses this year.
Right.
You try to take it in a place where we could, where it was sort of optional spending on talent. And then you look for sort of poor performers or real problems in the business, if there are any. But I know there are a lot of firms trying to keep their whole team intact, keep everybody's livelihood intact. There are some firms who feel like that's going to be a competitive advantage. They're saying it every day to their people. They're working night and day to do it. And I admire that. I think that's great. I don't admire keeping poor performers long term in the business, right? But through this, a lot of people, some firms are thinking these people can't find another job right now.
Right.
And so I'm going to hold on to them. And so there are different philosophies.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that the firm is trying to first keep the entity healthy and put the entity first. And then the partners are taking that, generous stance to give from their own wallet first. And then after that, there's lots of different ways to handle the cash trough.
Yeah.
And by the way, one of those ways is to work on generating cash. And a lot of firms aren't focused on their cash generation and cash management policies like they should be. They're not taking e-money. They're not taking deposits. They're not, telling everybody that they need to bill and collect promptly, like more promptly than ever before. So there are other things we could do also that would help that entity not maybe have to make the cash cuts that might be necessary.
Well, and it goes back to where we started with advisory, right? Like this is also an opportunity to look at new services that could be really helpful for your clients. And brainstorm and have that team brainstorming together, that you don't have to do it alone in a silo.
Right.
That the people that are closest to their clients are actually going to have the best ideas right now to come up with ways to help them, and that can be really valuable. And maybe, whatever fee structure you used before might not be viable at this point for add-on services. So it's even getting creative in how you price and work with your client. And package. So that you're not just thinking the way you've always thought before, because there's actually new opportunity from, any kind of downturn or things that we're dealing with.
For sure. And I want to say something on that about SBA consulting and PPP consulting. I'm not an expert on the regs, but I know that when the first wave hit, it was like a gold rush. It was nuts. We didn't really understand the rules. Everybody was, reading different guidance every day, had to do a lot of research for clients, had to do a lot of consulting for clients, had to do a lot of analysis for them to get them the data they needed so that they could fill out their PPP application. All of that has to be recovered somehow, or should be recovered. And so, I saw a lot of Twitter traffic and stuff saying, well, we can't take the 1% because we're not an agent for the bank, and we can't we're not allowed to charge for the form and filling it out. So I guess we're going to have to do all this for free. No, we should be telling our clients about the compilation consulting and the advice we're having to give them and the coaching over the phone. For the second wave, at least, we should try to recover from the first wave. But if you didn't charge for that, for the second wave, we should manage expectations up front and make sure that we are billing for that time. Firms should recover that time. And obviously, there are some clients who are hurting so badly, you'll never recover it. But most clients, especially those who got funded, would willingly pay an advisory fee for the help that you gave them. I know I paid my CPA for the help that he gave me.
Well, but this goes back to pricing and packaging.
Yes.
So if you're already in an advisory relationship and you're billing monthly, these are the types of things that you are doing as an advisor. And, I look at that as almost like an insurance policy, right? Like some months your clients really need you and some months they don't. That's why you set up pricing that way, so that in these times of need, it is covered, because there's other times that they don't need you as much, and
Right.
so that is really important to evaluate your pricing policies, because if you were billing by the hour and you're writing all that time off because you feel uncomfortable to ask for that price because of the situation people are in, it now is the time to relook at your client relationships. And it's another way to come out of this and say, look, because of all this, I understand the issues that you're in, and I want to make sure that I'm a partner in your business going forward. And we're going to create a monthly package where we can have these kinds of discussions on a monthly basis. If anything, you've proved that this is why someone would pay you monthly,
right?
And you can recover it that way versus trying to say, I'm going to, bill you back for the, 2 months or whatever. Just change the, work to change the relationship. And everyone's going to feel more loyal to their accountant if you actually looked up from the work and helped during this time,
I agree. And I think you've got a proof of concept here. You could point to, hey, client, you really needed me here. I try to have some of my firms, I try to get them to look at this advisory packaging and pricing and this monthly idea as coaching. I run a coaching business. We're in the consulting and coaching business. And we have clients who pay us on an annual basis, sometimes quarterly, sometimes monthly. Sometimes they want to pay the whole thing up front, depending on the time of the year they're doing it. And then they have monthly services, and they can contact us, and we have coaching and discussions, and we reach out to them when we think there's something they really need to be thinking about or know about. And none of us is worried about, like, did that cost a quarter hour, and did I enter time? And they're not feeling nickel and dime. They know what to expect. And CPA firms can completely follow that model. I mean, it's identical. Your clients need the same stuff from you. So, and it won't be every client. Not every client will sign up for that, but the ones that do, those are your best clients. You have the biggest impact on them. Maybe you won't hold on to all the ones that don't value you as much later, because you could do more of this cool advisory stuff and the compliance stuff, and have more of a steady cash flow and all those things. There's a 1,000 reasons to do it.
Absolutely. So we're getting close to the end of our chat this week. Yes. Any closing thoughts that you want to leave our chat with this week?
So there's never been a more important time ever in the whole history of the profession that I've been part of for a long time to be a trusted advisor, to be a coach, to figure out your firm's strategy for that, and get out there and proactively continue to do that through the summer here. Figure out how to make that a priority for your firm. And I think if you do, you're going to be astounded by how many clients value it. And if you package and price like we've talked about, I think you'd be interested to find out that you're selling new engagements at a time when maybe other people aren't.
Yeah. And I would just leave everyone with being human during this, is that not only, as leaders, do we have to walk in and be transparent and talk about what's hard, even talk about it with our clients as well. Like, sometimes they can look at us and think, oh, well, we've got it covered, and they don't. We can talk about our own struggles and what we're doing, but also being human in the business decisions that we're making as well, and making sure that we're not just looking at a short-term hit, that this isn't knee-jerk decisions, that we're looking at the long-term for the business, for the people that work for us, and that we show our heart through this as well.
Awesome. Well, it's been great being with you today.
Yep. So we'll see everyone next week.
See you then.